Daf Mem Aleph. We're going to begin by the Mishnah Shirsh Nagach. The Mishnah says Shirsh Nagach as a Adam, when an ox scores a person with a mace and that person died. So Mu'ed Mishalim Kefer. If the ox was a Mu'ed, the owner has to pay Kefer, has to pay ransom. The Tam Pater Mana Kefer. But if it was a Tam, he is Pater from Kefer. And both the Shir Tam and Shir Mu'ed are chayav to be put to death for killing a person. V'chein baben v'chein bebas. And the same applies in the case where the animal killed a boy or killed a girl. Even though it's a katan or katana, it's still going to be chayav. And it still has to be put to death. Nagach evedei amma. If the ox scored and killed a heavy kanani or a amma ivriya, so then the halacha is leisin shleishim shleim. Its owner gives the victims odin 30 sela. Beishu yafa mea mana. Whether he was a slave worth 100 mana, 100 silver dinars, or ben sheni yafa al dinar achad. Whether it was worth only one dinar, the halacha is that he has to pay 30 dinars. So just to recap the Mishnah, he shared that scored a person, and this person died. So if the share was a mu'ed, the owner has to pay kofer. If it's a tam, he's put there from kofer. But both animals get put to death, even if it killed a ben or a bas as well. If it gored an eved or amma, so it doesn't matter how much the eved or amma is worth, they have to pay shloshim shleim. So the Gemara asks, since we kill the ox for killing a person when it's still considered a tam, as the Mishnah just said, mu'ed heichi mishkach haslei. How can you find the case of a mu'ed at all? If the first time Ashar Shanagach Adam, even by Tam, it's Chayav Misa, so there's never a case of an animal being a mu'ed. The first time he already gets killed. So Rabbi says, Hacham Mayaskinan, what's our Mishnah talking about? Where in 3 instances of attacking people, the Beis Din assessed that had the people not escaped, the ox would kill them. So despite the fact that the animal didn't actually kill anyone, since the Beis Din assessed, like Rashi says, if the person would not have run away, the person would have gotten killed by this ox, so it has a status now of a mu'ed. Rashi says no. Umdala lav klumu. An assessment is not worth anything. Fact is, the ox did not actually kill. It's not considered it's not rendered a mu'ed, even if it had intended to kill. What are we dealing with over here? We're seeking the shleishim ne'adam. We're endangered the lives of 3 people by goring them. And they all died after the 3rd goring. So what happened is that basically the ox endangered the life. It, like Rashi says, the first 2 were not stoned, but when it now gored the 3rd person, all of them died from their wounds. The halacha is that this animal now becomes a mu'ed. As Vidamar says, where the animal killed 3 animals, which is making it a mu'ed, but for which is not put to death. So the Gemara asks, a mu'ed l'be'emes, a mu'ed l'adam? Is a mu'ed with regards to an animal considered a mu'ed for a person? It's 2 separate things. Rav Shimi says, it killed 3 Gentiles, 3 goyim, which the animal is not put to death. Friday the Gemara asks, a mu'ed l'goyim and a mu'ed l'Yisrael? Is a mu'ed with regards to goyim considered a mu'ed with regards to Yidden? Rav Shimi Lakish says, or kill 3 people who had wounds that would have caused them to die within 12 months. Since they were on the verge of dying anyway, the ox is not put to death for killing them. Nevertheless, it's rendered a mu'ed with regards to its future gorings and killing the people. Friday, mu'ed the treifa, mu'ed the shalim is a mu'ed for treifa, mu'ed the shalim. On Republic, the kotel ba'arik lagma, which is a discussing case where it killed a person and it fled to the marsh. Ba'arik lagma, then killed another and fled to the marsh. The kotel ba'arik lagma, and then again it fled and ran to the marsh, and then killed again and fled to the marsh. So the Beis Din was not able to kill it before it had killed 3 times, making it a mu'ed. Rabbi says, the Mishnah is discussing a case where the witnesses who had rendered the witness who testified to the 3 instances of goring as Eidim Zaymin. So the animal's not put to death. were themselves proven to be conspiring witnesses by other witnesses. So the testimonies of the witnesses who testified about the incident of the goring were reinstated, rendering the ox now forewarned. This explanation works well if it's assumed that the purpose of the testifying of the ox goring is because we wish to establish the ox as a mu'ud. So once the testimony concerning the incidents of goring is reinstated, it establishes the ox gored 3 times. But if we wish to warn the man owns the ox by testifying that the animal gored, you could say to the judge after it is established that the ox was forewarned, I did not know that my ox was a mu'ud, since the witnesses had previously been idim zemin. So my answer is again the Amri Kolimis, the Kotel Teirei. We're talking about a case where witnesses say each time his ox killed a person, Gabi have a koi. We're standing by it, so you cannot claim ignorance. Ravina says, where the witnesses recognize the owner of the ox, but do not recognize the ox itself. Therefore, with regard to the first incidents of goring, they testified that it was his ox that gored. But they did not testify with regard to the ox itself. This is why the ox was not put to death. Only afterwards they realized that this was the ox that had gored 3 times before. So the Gemara asks, why is the ox made a mu'ud? What could have the owner have done to prevent it from goring again? He did not know which of the oxen had gored. So the Gemara answer is that Mishum the Amar Lei, because the Beis Din effectively said to him, you have a goring ox in your herd. So you have to safeguard your entire herd. Mishnah said, both the mu'ud and the tam are chayim misa. Tanah we learned like this. From the fact that the Tanah says the ox shall be stoned, any dish neveli, do I not know that it's a nevela? When nevela asura b'achila, and nevela is asur to eat. What does the Torah mean by saying its flesh shall not be eaten? The Torah tells me that if one shechted it after the verdict had been reached, but before it was stoned, asur b'achila is still asur to eat. So the Gemara says, I only know this in regards to eating. And from what do I know? What do I know about Hano? That's asur tamalei bala shernaki. The owner of the ox shall be clear. My mashma, what's a mashma? How is the halacha derived from the statement that the owner shall be clear? Shimon ben Zayim says, it's like a person who says to his friend, so-and-so is clear of his property, and has no benefit from it at all. Similarly, but the owner of the ox shall be clear means that they may not derive any benefit. The balashur noki means he can't have any amno. Umar asks, from where do you know that from the pasuk of its flesh shall not be eaten? It teaches that with regards to that case where he shechted the ox after its verdict was reached, but before it was stoned, and it's teaching that one is usher to eat it. Why do you say that it's permitted to eat the ox if it shechted it after its verdict has been reached? And the pasuk of its flesh shall be eaten, it's teaching us that with regard to that case where they already stoned it. And also they say all these 3 expressions means it means that a person cannot have any eating or isra in anything. Unless the Torah specifies that you may derive benefit in the manner that it's specified for you with regards to the animal nevelis, which the Torah permits one to have benefits. In other words, it's permitted to transfer, it's permitted to transfer a unshechted animal carcass to a ger teishuv through giving it to him as a gift or selling to him. So apparently, without this explicit permission, it would be also to derive any benefit from this nevela, because you're not allowed to eat it. Here too, with regards to the ox that is stoned, its flesh not be eaten may serve to teach that one may not derive benefit from the stoned ox. The Chacham said in response, the statement applies where both the isser of eating and the isser of deriving benefit are derived from a pasuk expression of it shall not be eaten. But here, where the isser of eating is derived from the statement, the ox shall be stoned, if you think that it's isser no, why add the word psari? Still tell me the alpha gav the kain basar, that even if it was rendered like a kosher flesh by properly shafting it, a shafting, nevertheless it's going to be usher. So he asked him, really want you see the statement, in the case where you checked a sharp piece of flint, and seeing that it did not have any defects, shafted the ox with it. So the object gained skill. In that case, one could say that he shafted it with a stone, he performed the equivalent of stoning. But when he shafted with a knife, one is not usher for eating it. So Amri, the Chacham said, Otu sakin ksiva beiraisa is written in the Torah that a sheikhid must perform specifically with a knife, which could justify distinction between shafting with a stone and a knife. But Tanama, we learned in the Mishnah, a sheikhid b'magal yad b'tzina b'kana. The person shafted it with a hand sickle, with a piece of flint, or with a reed. So then shechita sikshet is kosher. Whereas v'hachta nafkalei yisra chilev yisra no milay yechos psorei. So now that we derive the yisra of eating and the yisra of deriving benefit from the pasuk of the yechos psorei, bala shed nakali lomali. One need to have this pasuk of bala shed naki. My answer is lahanois oirei. It's deriving, this statement is the yisra deriving benefit from its hide after it's been killed. So that the chamini, you could think psorei with the usher by no, only the basar is usher. Oirei nishtadei by no, but the hide is permitted. Therefore the Torah says the owner of the ox shall be clear, to indicate that it's also to derive benefit from any part of the ox. Now, according to the Tanaim who say that the owner of the ox shall be clear from another interpretation, as we wish to state below, from where do we derive that the isser against deriving benefit from the ox's hide? We don't have mes psari. In other words, es atafal psari, ma'ini, which is 80. So whereas v'hai tana es leidosh, the Tana derives from the statement, the owner of the ox should be clear, does not interpret the word es as a means to derive a new halacha. He considers the word es to be an ordinary part of the sentence structure and not a mucker for other learning. The Tanya Shimon Saini, there's called Adnash potato, the famous thing, they darshan all the es of the potato. And what happened was, so once they came to Hashem L'Geratira, she stopped. What's going to be with every other essence that you darshaned? So let me say, just like I got reward for the exposition, so I will receive reward for withdrawal. What does it teach me? Es is the Rabbi's Talmidei Chacham, to teach me Talmidei Chacham. You have to fear Talmidei Chacham. So what do you see? Shimon HaMseni no longer derive any halachas from the word es. The Torah says the owner of the ox shall be cleared. He shall be clear from paying half the ransom. Although the owner of the tam ox that causes damage is chayav to pay half the damage, the ox kills a person, the owner is not chayav to pay any ransom. Rabbi Akiva said to him, why do you need this pasuk? Isn't compensation for damage caused by a tam itself anyway paid only from the value of the body? Bring him to the base, and then he will pay you. In other words, you will be paid from its value. Since the ox is stoned, there's nothing from which he can receive payment. Therefore, according to your interpretation, the pasuk does not iftus any no halacha that could have been inferred by Svarah, and therefore it's extra. So Rabbi Elazar says, "Kach ani beinecha." This is how I appear in your eyes. Shedina bezeh shechayim misa. My learning from the pasuk is referenced in the case that of an ox is chayav to be put to death. Obviously, no pasuk would be required for that. My learning is only with regards to that case where the ox killed a person. It is based on the testimony of one witness, or based on the owner. So the Gemara says, "I'll be bailim." If it's based on the admission of the owner, it's not chayav to pay ransom because made the miknas potter. We know made the miknas is potter. So the Gemara answers, "Kasavra kufra." He holds that the ransom is a kaparo. So one would have assumed that even in the cases where there is no conclusive testimony, the owner must pay ransom to atone for the killing. Therefore, the pasuk states that in the case of a tam, the owner is not chayav to pay half a ransom. Kai Yidach was learning another brayso. Do you think that in your eyes that my learning is in the case of an ox that is chayav to be put to death? I'm dealing with a person, or an ox, that intended to kill an animal, but killed a person, or the guy you wanted to kill a guy and kill the soul, or you wanted to kill a non-viable baby, but killed a viable baby. An ox is not put to death if intended to gore in a manner which not render a chai to be put to death, even if it did gore in such a manner. In such a case, the owner of the ox must pay kafir. Therefore, the pasuk states that if the owner is exempt from paying half of the ransom. So these two brises cite different responses that Rabbi gave to Rabbi Akiva. Which one of these explanations did he say first? He said the idea of miskaven. He said hamis. He says this is an example of a fisherman pulling fish from the sea. Mashkach Rabbi, when he finds big ones, he takes them. Shokel, when he finds shokel. Zutri, when he finds small ones, shokel, he takes them. Although Rabbi Elazar's first explanation was sufficient, he added an additional explanation despite the fact that it was not as good as the first. And this could be to an analogy of a fisherman pulling fish from the sea. Mashka Zutri Shokel, when he finds a small one, he takes it. Mashka Rabbi, when he finds the big one, he discards the small one and takes the big ones. Here too, once Rabbi Elazar thought a better response to Rabbi Akiva's question, he suggested instead the first one.